What constitutes a capacitor? Two conductors separated by an insulator. What is the purpose of a capacitor? Does a capacitor in an AC circuit cause the current to lead or lag? It causes the current to lead the voltage. What is the basic unit of capacitance? The farad. Why should electrolytic capacitors not be used in an AC circuit? They are polarized and will only pass current in one direction. What is an example of an inductor used in a magneto? The coil. Does an inductor in an AC circuit cause the current to lead or lag the voltage? It causes the current to lag behind the voltage. How can you find the polarity of an electromagnet? Hold the magnet in your left hand with your fingers encircling the coil in the directions electrons flow. The direction your thumb is facing is the North Pole. What is meant by impedance? The total opposition to the flow of AC. In what unit is impedance measured? Ohms. What are 5 sources of electrical energy? Magnetism, heat, pressure, chemical, and light. What is the basic unit of power in a DC circuit? Watt. What is meant by kilowatt? 1000 watts. What is meant by megawatt? 1,000,000 watts. What is the formula for power in a DC circuit? PIE/power equals voltage x current. What is the relationship between mechanical and electrical power? 1 horsepower equals 746 watts. What is meant by true power in an AC circuit? It is the product of circuit voltage and the current in phase with it. What unit is true power expressed? Watts. What is meant by apparent power in an AC circuit? The product of circuit voltage and circuit current. In what unit is apparent power expressed? Volt-amps. What is meant by reactive power in an AC circuit? The power consumed in the inductive and capacitive reactances in an AC circuit. In what units is reactive power expressed? Volt-amps reactive and kilovolt-amps reactive. What is meant by the power factor in an AC circuit? The ratio of true power to apparent power. Which law of electricity is the most important for an aircraft mechanic to know? Ohm's law. What are the elements of Ohm's law? Voltage, current, resistance. What is voltage? Electrical pressure. What is the basic unit of voltage? Volt. What instrument is used to measure voltage? A voltmeter. To measure voltage, is the voltmeter placed in series or in parallel with the source voltage? In parallel. What is electrical current? The flow of electrons in a circuit. What is the basic unit of current flow? Amps. What part of an amp is a milliamp? 1,000th of an amp. What instrument is used to measure current flow? Ammeter. What two things happen when current flows through a conductor? Heat is generated and an electromagnetic field surround the conductor. To measure current through a component, is an ammeter placed in series or parallel with a component? Series. What is meant by resistance in an electrical circuit? The opposition to the flow of electrons. What is the basic unit of electrical resistance? Ohm. What is a megohm? 1 million ohms. What four things affect the resistance of an electrical conductor? Length, cross-sectional size, temperature, and material. What is used to measure electrical resistance? Ohmmeter. How can you tell the resistance of a composition resistor? Series of color bands. What is meant by continuity in an electrical circuit? The circuit is complete when electrons can flow from one terminal of the power source to the other. What instrument is used to measure continuity in an electrical circuit? Ohmmeter. When measuring resistance of a component with an ohmmeter, should the circuit be energized? No. What three things must an electrical circuit contain? Power source, load, and conductor. What are three types of DC circuits with regard to the placement of various circuit components? Series, parallel, series, parallel. What is the name of the law that describes the relationship in an electrical circuit of voltage, current, and resistance? Ohm's law. What is the basic equation of Ohm's law? E equals IR. What formula is used to find current when voltage and resistance are known? I equals ER. What formula is used to find resistance when voltage and current are known? R equals EI. What happens to the current in a DC circuit if the voltage is increased but the resistance remains the same? It increases. What happens to the current in a conductor if the length of the conductor is doubled with all other parameters unchanged? It would decrease to 1/2. What is the voltage across each resistor connected in parallel across a 12-volt battery? 12 volts. How much current flows through each of three resistors connected in series if the total current is 3 amps? 3 amps. What is the total resistance of three 12-ohm resistors connected in series? 36 ohms. What is the total resistance of three 12-ohm resistors connected in parallel? 4 ohms. What electrolyte is used in a lead-acid battery? Sulfuric acid and water. Does the specific gravity of the electrolyte in a lead-acid battery increase or decrease as the battery becomes discharged? Decreases. What is the specific gravity of a fully charged lead-acid battery? 1.275 and 1.300. How many cells are there in a 24-volt lead-acid battery? 12. What is the range of temperatures that do not require a correction when measuring the specific gravity of a lead-acid battery? 70 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. What instrument is used to measure the specific gravity of the electrolyte in a lead-acid battery? Hydrometer. How do you treat a lead-acid battery compartment to protect it from corrosion? With a poly-enamel paint. What is used to neutralize spilled electrolyte from a lead-acid battery? A solution of bicarbonate of soda and water. How high should the electrolyte level be in a properly serviced lead-acid battery? Only up to the level of the indicator. Why is the closed-circuit voltage of a lead-acid battery lower than its open-circuit voltage? Internal resistance of the battery. What is the open circuit voltage of a lead-acid cell? 2.1 volts. What gases are being released when a lead-acid battery is being charged? Hydrogen and oxygen. What precautions should be taken in the maintenance shop where both lead-acid and nickel-cadmium batteries are serviced? Maintain separate work areas and do not use the same tools on the different types of batteries. What is the electrolyte used in a nickel-cadmium battery? Potassium hydroxide and water. Why is a hydrometer not used to measure the state of charge of a nickel-cadmium battery? The specific gravity change is negligible. Is the electrolyte of a nickel-cadmium battery lowest when the battery is fully charged or fully discharged? Fully discharged. What is a result of cell imbalance in a nickel-cadmium battery? The low internal resistance allows current to flow between the unbalanced cells and generate heat. What is thermal runaway? Large current flow allowed by low resistance generates heat. The higher heat lowers the resistance even more, which generates more heat. The battery eventually destroys itself. How may thermal runaway be prevented? By monitoring the temperature of the middle cells and controlling the charging current. How is it possible to know when a nickel-cadmium battery is fully charged? Completely discharge the battery and give it a constant current. Charge it until it can deliver 140% of its amp-hour capacity. What is used to neutralize spilled electrolyte from as nickel-cadmium battery? Boric acid and water. How many views can there be on an orthographic projection? 6. How many views are used to show most objects in an aircraft drawing? 3. What information is given in the title block area of an aircraft drawing? The name and address of the company who made the part, the name of the part, the scale of the drawing, the name of the draftsman, the name of the engineer approving the part, and the drawing number. Where is the title block normally located on an aircraft drawing? Bottom right. How can you know that the aircraft drawing you are using is the most current revision of the drawing? By the number in the revision block. What is a fuselage station number? The distance in inches from the datum. What is a butt line? A reference line to the right or left of the center line. What is a detailed drawing? A drawing that includes all the information needed to fabricate the part. What is an assembly drawing? A drawing that shows all the components of a part in an exploded form. What is an installation drawing? A drawing that shows the location of parts on the complete aircraft. What type of drawing is most helpful in troubleshooting a system? A schematic diagram. What is a block diagram? A diagram that uses generic block shapes to represent component functions in a system. How are dimensions shown on an aircraft drawing? What dimension lines and numbers? What is the purpose of a sketch of a repair? It includes the minimum amount of detail needed to manufacture the part. What are the 4 steps in making a sketch? Block in the shapes, add details to the basic block, darken lines, add dimension or any other information that will make the sketch more usable. What is the purpose of a centerline on an aircraft drawing? It divides the part into symmetrical halves. When should an aircraft be re-winged? After an extensive repair or alteration. Why is it necessary to consider the category under which an aircraft is licensed when computing weight and balance? Different categories under which an aircraft can be licensed have different maximum gross weights and different CG ranges. Where do you find the leveling means that are specified for a particular aircraft? TCDS. What is meant by tare weight? The weight of any chocks that hold an aircraft on a scale. What must be done with tare weight when an aircraft is being weighed? It must be subtracted from the scale readings. Why are all the distances of all the items installed on an aircraft measured from the datum when computing weight and balance? It makes it possible to find CG. Which has the more critical CG range, an airplane or helicopter? Helicopter. What is included in the empty weight of an aircraft? The weight of the airframe, engines, and all items that have fixed locations or permanently installed in the aircraft includes fixed ballast, hydraulic fluid, engine oil, and unusable fuel. Where is the maximum gross weight of an aircraft found? TCDS. What equipment must be installed on an aircraft when it is weighed to find its empty weight in CG? Required equipment or permanently installed equipment. What is meant by a permanent ballast for an aircraft? Weight that is permanently installed in an aircraft to bring the empty weight in CG within allowable limits. Is there a FAR requiring that all private aircraft be reweighed periodically? No. What must be done with a temporary ballast when weighing an aircraft? It must be removed. What must be done to find the empty weight of an aircraft if it has been weighed with fuel in the tanks? The weight and moment must be subtracted from the aircraft weight calculation. What is meant by minimum fuel as is used in the computation of aircraft weight and balance? No more fuel than 1/2 hour of operation at max rated continuous power. What is meant by the maximum zero fuel weight of an aircraft? The max permissible weight of a loaded aircraft less its fuel. What is meant by undrainable fuel? The fuel that is left in the tank, lines and components after it has been drained. Describe the way you would find the empty weight and empty CG of an airplane if there are no weight and balance records available. Reweigh the aircraft, calculate the CG, and record them in new weight and balance records. What are 2 reasons weight and balance control are important in an aircraft? Safety and efficient operation. Where is the center of gravity for most airplanes in relation to the center of lift? The CG is ahead of the center of lift. What is meant by the datum that is used for weight and balance computations? A reference point chosen by the manufacturer from which all longitudinal locations on the aircraft are referenced. What is meant by moment in the computation of weight and balance? Weight x arm equals moment weight of the item times the distance from the datum acts as a lever and causes rotation. How do you find the moment of an item installed in an aircraft? Weight x arm equals moment. What is meant by the arm of an item installed in an aircraft? The distance of an object from the datum in inches. Where do you find the arm of an item installed in an aircraft? TCDS. What is meant by a moment index? A moment divided by a constant such as 10, 100, or 1000. What is meant by the CG range? The distance in inches between the forward allowable CG and rearward allowable CG. What is the significance of the empty weight CG of an aircraft? If the EWCG falls within the EWCG range, the aircraft cannot be legally loaded in a way that its loaded center of gravity falls outside of the allowable CG range. Why is the empty weight center of gravity not given in the TCDS for some aircraft? The EWCG is only given for aircraft that cannot be loaded in such a way as their loaded CG will fall outside of the allowable limits. What is meant by the mean aerodynamic chord? The chord of an imaginary airfoil that has the same aerodynamic characteristics as the actual airfoil. What is a loading envelope? The enclosed area on a graph of an airplane's loaded weight and CG location. What is meant by permanent ballast for an aircraft? Weight that is permanently installed in an aircraft to bring the empty weight CG into allowable limits. Where must a record be kept of the current empty weight and current CG of an aircraft? In the flight manual or weight and balance records required by CFR 23.1583. Of what material are most low-pressure rigid fuel lines made? January 2nd 1100 hard or January 2nd 3003 hard aluminum alloy tubing. Is the size of a rigid fluid line determined by its inside or outside diameter? Outside. When running a fluid line parallel to an electrical wire bundle, which should be on top? The electrical wire bundle should be on top. How can you distinguish an AN fluid line fitting from an AC fitting? An AN fitting has a shoulder between the end of the flare cone and the first thread. How tight should an MS flareless fitting be tightened? Tighten by hand until snug and no more than a 1/3 turn in January 6th increments with a wrench. What damage can be caused by over-tightening an MS flareless fitting? It can cut into the tube and weaken it. What kind of rigid tubing can be flared with a double flare? 50-50-20 and 60-61T in January 8 to 3/8 inch OD. Of what material should rigid fuel lines be made that carry high-pressure hydraulic fluid? Annealed or stainless steel? What is the difference between the flare angle for aircraft and automotive fittings? Aircraft equals 37 flare angle, automotive equals 45 flare angle. What should be done to the end of a tube that is to be flared? Deburr any sharp edges. What is the function of the lay line? To check for hose twist during installation. Where are quick disconnect fluid line couplings normally used in an aircraft hydraulic system? In the lines that connect the engine-driven pump into the hydraulic system. Is the size of a flexible hose determined by its inside or outside diameter? Inside. What is the minimum amount of slack that must be left when a flexible hose is installed in an aircraft hydraulic system? 5%. What is the principal advantage of Teflon hose for use in an aircraft hydraulic system? Teflon hose retains its strength under conditions of high temperature. How much pressure is used to proof test a flexible hose assembly? Generally about 2 times the recommended operating pressure for the hose. What is the proper type of non-destructive inspection to use for locating surface cracks in an aluminum or alloy casting or forging? Dye penetrant. What inspection would be most appropriate for checking a non-ferrous metal part for intergranular corrosion? Eddy current inspection. What inspection method would be most appropriate for checking the internal structure of an airplane wing for corrosion? X-ray. How does filiform corrosion usually appear on an aircraft structure? As thread-like lines or puffiness under a film of dense topcoat. What inspection method would be most appropriate for checking a steel landing gear component for stress cracks? Magnetic particle inspection. What type of inspection is best suited for detecting a fault within a piece of non-ferrous metal? Ultrasonic. Explain the procedure to use when making a dye-penetrant inspection of a part. Clean the part thoroughly, apply penetrant, allow recommended dwell time, remove the penetrant from the surface and apply developer. Why is it important that all parts be thoroughly cleaned before they are inspected by the dye-penetrant method? Any grease or dirt in the fault will keep the penetrant from seeping into the fault. Explain the procedure to use when performing a magnetic particle inspection of a part. Thoroughly clean the part, magnetize the part, flow the indicator liquid over the part, inspect under a black light. Once inspection is complete, demagnetize the part. Why is it necessary to magnetize a part both circularly and longitudinally when inspecting a steel part by the magnetic particle inspection? To detect faults that extend across as well as lengthwise within the part. Does the circular magnetization detect faults that are cross or lengthwise to the part? Lengthwise. Why is it important that all engine parts which have been inspected by the magnetic particle method be completely demagnetized? The parts will attract steel particles that are produced by engine wear and will cause damage to bearing surfaces. What is the principle of eddy current inspection? A current is introduced into the metal being tested by a probe. The amount of induced current is determined by the conductivity, mass, and permeability of the material and the presence of any faults or voids. Why is it important that a piece of aluminum alloy be quenched immediately after it is removed from the heat treating oven? To prevent intergranular corrosion. What is meant by normalizing a piece of steel after it has been welded or machined? Normalizing removes stresses that are locked into the material by welding or machining. Explain the way a steel structure is normalized after it has been welded. Heat the steel structure to a temperature above its critical temperature and allow it to cool in still air. Why is a piece of steel tempered after it has been hardened? When steel is hardened, it becomes brittle. Tempering removes some of this brittleness. How is steel annealed? It is heated to just above its upper critical temperature until it reaches a uniform temperature throughout, then it is allowed to slowly cool in the oven. How is steel hardened? It is heated to critical temperature and quenched in water. What is meant by tempering steel? The steel is first hardened, then some of the hardness is removed to relieve some of the internal stresses and brittleness. What is meant by case hardening? The surface of the metal is carburized or nitrided. What are two methods of case hardening? Carburizing and nitriding. How is steel nitrided? The steel part is heated in a retort where there is an atmosphere of ammonia. The nitrogen in the ammonia bonds to the aluminum in the steel to form a layer of hard aluminum nitride on the surface of the steel. Describe the method of solution heat treatment of an aluminum alloy. The metal is hardened by heating it in a furnace and then quenching it in water. Describe the method of precipitation heat treating aluminum alloy. The metal is heated and quenched, then reheated and allowed to cool in still air. What is another name for precipitation heat treatment? Artificial aging. What is meant by an icebox rivet? Heat-treated rivet stored in a freezer to prevent hardening. What are the two most commonly used rivet heads? Mississippi 20470 Universal Head and Mississippi 20426-100 Countersunk Head. What alloy is identified by the following rivet codes A and D, DDB? A is 1100 aluminum, AD is 2117 T aluminum alloy, D is 2017 T aluminum alloy, DD is 2024 T aluminum alloy, B is 5056 T aluminum alloy. What mark on the head of a rivet identifies the following alloys? 2117 T, 2017 T, 2024 T, 5056 T. 2117 T recessed. 2017 T raised. 2024 T raised double dash 5056 T raised cross. What is the meaning of this rivet designation? Mississippi 20470AD4-6. Mississippi 20470 equals universal head, AD equals 2117 T aluminum alloy, 4 equals 430 seconds in diameter, 6 equals 6/16 inch long. What type of loading should be avoided when using a self-locking nut on a bolt? It should not be used where the nut or bolt is subject to rotation. What determines the correct grip length of a bolt used in an aircraft structure? It should be the same as the material thickness it is securing. How tight should the nut be installed on a clevis bolt that is used to attach a cable fitting to control surface horn? The clevis bolt should still be able to turn in the cable fitting. What bolt is described by this number? AN6-14A. AN6 equals hex head bolt, 6/16 inch diameter, 14 equals length equals 1 minus 4/8 inch long. A. The shank is not drilled for a cotter pin. What is indicated by a triangle on the head of a steel bolt? This is a close tolerance bolt. What is the correct application for self-tapping sheet metal screws on an aircraft? They may be used to hold non-structural components onto the aircraft. How can you tell when a self-locking nut needs to be discarded? When you can finger tighten the nut onto a bolt. What is a channel nut? A series of nuts mounted loosely in a channel that is riveted to the aircraft structure. Of what two materials are cotter pins made? Steel, stainless steel. What is the smallest size cable that is allowed to be used in the primary control system of an aircraft? 1/8 inch diameter. What type of cable must be used when pulleys are used to change the direction of cable travel? Extra flexible cable 7x19. What is the basic wood used for aircraft wing spars? Sitka spruce. What type of fabric is most widely used for covering aircraft structures? Polyester. What is the alloy number of the most commonly used aluminum alloy for aircraft structural use? 2024 T. What is the alloy number for the high-strength aluminum alloy that has zinc as an alloy component? 7075. Why is it important that the surface of a piece of clad aluminum alloy not be scratched? The pure aluminum used for the cladding is non-corrosive, but the alloy below the cladding is susceptible to corrosion. Why is it important for aluminum alloy to be quenched when pulled out of the heat treating oven? To prevent intergranular corrosion. Explain the way a piece of aluminum alloy solution heat treated. The aluminum is heated in an oven for a specified time, then it is removed and quenched in water. What type of composite material is used when stiffness is the prime requirement? Carbon fiber. What type of material is used in a composite structure when toughness is the prime requirement? Kevlar. What determines the size of tip that is to be used when gas welding steel? The thickness of the material being welded. How is the flux removed from a piece of aluminum that has been gas welded? Scrub with hot water and a bristle brush. What must be done to a welded joint if it must be re-welded? The old weld must be completely removed. What kind of measuring instrument is used to measure the runout of an aircraft engine crankshaft? A dial indicator. What measuring instruments are used to measure the fit between a rocker arm shaft and its bushing? Telescoping gauge and micrometer. In what increments can a vernier micrometer caliper be read? 0.0001. What is an advantage of a vernier caliper over a micrometer? The range of the caliper is much greater than that of a micrometer. What precision tool is used to measure piston ringside clearance? Thickness gauge. What precision tools are used to measure the inside diameter of a cylinder? Telescoping gauge and micrometer. What precision tools are used to measure the ID of a small hole? Small hole gauge and micrometer. What special precautions should be taken when towing an aircraft that is equipped with a steerable nose wheel? Be sure that the nose wheel does not try to turn past its stops. What publication lists the standard hand signals used for directing a taxiing aircraft? General textbook. What action should a mechanic take while taxiing an aircraft on a runway if the tower shines a flashing red light at him? Clear the runway. What type of fire extinguisher is best suited for extinguishing an induction fire in a reciprocating engine? CO2. What is the proper way to extinguish an induction system fire that occurs when starting a reciprocating engine? Keep running the engine / keep cranking. When starting an aircraft engine that is equipped with a flow carburetor, what position should the heat control be placed? Cold. What is meant by liquid lock in the cylinder of an aircraft engine and how is it cleared? Oil accumulates in the cylinders below the center line of the engine. Remove the spark plug and turn the crankshaft until the oil is forced out of the cylinder. What is the procedure if a hung start occurs when starting a turbojet engine? Stop the start operation. How far ahead of an idling turbojet engine does the danger area extend? 25 feet. Why is it important for the aircraft and fuel truck be grounded during fueling operations? It prevents the buildup of static electricity which could create a spark and ignite the fuel. What information must be located near the fuel tank filler opening in an aircraft powered by a reciprocating engine? Avgas grade. What information must be located near the fuel tank filler opening in an aircraft powered by a turbine engine? Jet fuel and permissible fuel designations, also maximum pressure for pressure fueling systems. What should be done to a reciprocating engine fuel system if jet fuel is inadvertently put into the tanks and the engine is run? The entire fuel system must be drained and flushed with gasoline. Perform a compression check. Bore scope the cylinders, drain oil and check strainers / filters and perform run-up. What precaution must be observed regarding the tools used when servicing an aircraft oxygen system? Make sure there is no oil or grease on the tools. What type of rope is best to tie down an aircraft? Nylon. What kind of knot is used for securing an airplane with rope? Bowline. Why is it important that turbine fuel not be mixed with avgas used in a reciprocating engine? The jet fuel will cause the engine to detonate severely. What grade of avgas is dyed blue? 100 LL. What damage is likely to occur if an aircraft reciprocating engine that is designed to use grade 100 fuel is operated with grade 80 fuel? Detonation will occur. What is meant by detonation in an aircraft reciprocating engine? Uncontrolled burning of fuel in the cylinder of an engine. What is the danger of using fuel that vaporizes too readily? Vapor lock. What type of fuel is JETA? A fuel with a heavy kerosene base. What are two functions of tetraethylene that is added to avgas? Knock inhibitor and acts as a lubricant. What documentation is required for a certificated aircraft to legally operate on automotive gasoline? STC. What is used to clean transparent plastic windshields and windows of an aircraft? Soap and water. What is used to neutralize the electrolyte from a lead-acid battery that has been spilled on an aircraft structure? Bicarbonate of soda and water. What is used to neutralize the electrolyte from a nickel-cadmium battery that has been spilled on an aircraft structure? Boric acid and water. What solvent is recommended for removing grease from aircraft fabric prior to doping it? MEC. Identify the areas of an aircraft that are most prone to corrosion. Battery compartment, exhaust system and exhaust trails, wheel wells, lower area of the belly, piano hinges, dissimilar metal areas inside of fuel tanks, lathes, galley areas. Where is filiform corrosion most likely to form on an aircraft? Under the top coat of a dense finish. Where is fretting corrosion most likely to occur on an aircraft? In locations with